From the heartland of America to every nation on earth, this is Jack Van Impe Presents, the truth in news and commentary. Here now are Doctors Jack and Rexella Van Impe.
Hello and welcome to Jack Van Impe Presents. My, oh my, we have been bombarded here in our headquarters. About 4,000 email and so many thousands of letters have come into our office saying thank you for the subject that you're dealing with right now. And so we're going to be continuing with this subject, Jack, and much more. The first headline, One World Religion, 10 Reasons to Say No. Also, Iran leader says Islam to rule the world. And Rick Warren does it again. That's another headline, and we'll deal with that in just a moment. But as you well know, Jack has spoken very strongly and frequently on our recent programs about something called Chrislam. Don't ever forget that word. It's very important. Chrislam. It's arising so rapidly that we're going to make a full video on something called One World Religion Emerging. And I said, Jack, why are you going to use that word emerging? Why did you choose that word there, Jack?
It means appearing, surfacing, and coming into view. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a shock. On June the 26th, 2011, 26 states had Chrislam services where they had the Quran and the Bible together and joined Christians and Muslims as they worked toward a one world religion. God help us. God forgive these apostate Protestant preachers who are making such a mess out of the Christian faith. And we'll have much to say about that today. But I want to say one more thing. Paul, you have been asking us to come back. You've pled with me to come back. I'm talking about Paul Crouch and TBN. Rexella and I have made up our minds. It is not God's will for our life. We're going to take a stand. We're going to preach what we want to preach. We're not going to be told what we can and can't preach. And one more thing. Just this last week, on your program, you and Matt were talking about Chrislam, and you said there's no substance to it, brother. You'll know how much substance there is to it when I get my video out for maybe 2 hours this coming September. I'm going to deal with it a little bit today. And I want to quote to you Jude verse 10. You ought not to speak about things of which you know nothing.
Well, you know, I tell you, most of us don't know anything about Chrislam, and that's why we're dealing with it so much on this program.
That's right.
That's a new word to me and to others.
And Rexella, there's also Tony Blair and Bill Clinton who are proclaiming face to faith. And there are other groups, and we are headed to the greatest sign in the world, the last sign before Jesus comes. And Antichrist comes to power in Revelation 13, verse 1, and his false prophet rises in verse 11 to 18. And both of them are right here on the spot. Jesus could come at any moment.
Oh, that's good news, isn't it? Jesus could come at any moment. But before we could have a one-world religion, we needed to see a one-world government. Now, let's see if the one-world government is coming together and if it already is emerging. Whoa! World government. International law. I can't believe that we could have something that would be international and hold as a law for everybody. Here you see it, world government, the march toward global governance. Code for world government proceeded unchecked in 2010. Structures of global economic control were established. The acceptance of international law gained traction in the world's political dialogue. Europe's new permanent president, Herman Van Rompuy, made the boldest proclamation when he said, "The nation state is dead." You see that? The belief that countries can stand alone is a lie and an illusion. Well, somebody that agrees with that is Henry Kissinger. And of course, he has often said we need to broaden the spectrum and come together with a world government. Here he said it, Henry Kissinger, the world must forge a new order or retreat to chaos. And Iran urges worldwide Islamic revolt. Now you're seeing two different areas here. I'm going to point them out in just a moment. Iran leader Islam to rule the world. And Ahmadinejad stresses need for new world order. Everybody's talking about it. Ahmadinejad, Iran and Syria will create a new world order. And once again, Ahmadinejad stresses Iran, China's role in establishing new world order. Now you see someone here, Sheikh Khamenei. He's the founder and chairman of the Islamic Supreme Council of America. Take a look at what he has to say. Perhaps, Jack, you would like to read what he has to say for us there, would you?
We see that the Mahdi will lead a world revolution that will institute a new world order based on the religion of Islam. The Mahdi will offer the religion of Islam to the Jews and Christians. If they accept it, they will be spared. Otherwise, they will be killed. And Prophet Jesus will be the executioner under Mahdi. God forgive us if we unite with them in Chrislam.
Well, I will tell you something. There seems to be here to me. Did you notice something? Two great, huge groups. The Western world, the Eastern world. Now, why two? You know, is that in the Bible, Jack, where there be two groups coming up and saying, we are going to be the ones?
God showed me something a few months ago, and I was overwhelmed, and he added to it just yesterday. The Bible teaches in Revelation 17:10 that there will be 7 world empires. It said there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen. One is, and that was one in existence when John wrote the book of Revelation, and one is yet to come. 5, 1 and 1 is 7. Now, what were the 5 that passed away in history? Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, and revived Rome. And for years, all of us taught that revived Rome had to do with just the Western nations, the European Union, etc. But you know, when one studies that image in Daniel 2, verses 41 to 44, he finds that it begins with the 3rd world empire still in existence, as Daniel explains it to Nebuchadnezzar the king. And he says, oh, this is wonderful, Nebuchadnezzar. God has chosen you. In verse 28, you are being informed of the things that are to come in the latter years and latter days, just before the Messiah comes. Now, what did he picture to him? He said, the head is Babylon, Daniel 1. The chest and arms of silver happen to be the Medes and the Persians, Daniel 5:28 and 8:20. Then he said, belly and thighs of brass will be Greece that takes over, and that's Daniel chapter 10 verse 20 and chapter 11 verse 2, and then Rome, and that's the 2 legs of iron, Daniel 9:26 and Romans 1:7. But that's where I got confused, and so many of us as preachers did. There are 2 legs of iron. There were 2 arms, Medes and Persians, 2 countries. 2 legs of iron, one the European side, the other was the eastern leg, Constantinople, Turkey, the Muslim side today. Now, I was shocked again this week when the Lord showed me that there are 7 heads and 10 horns. That's Revelation chapter 12, verse 3, chapter 13, verse 1, and verse 7. Only 3 texts on it. But wow, what does it mean? The 7 heads are those 7 empires. They're all into one when the one world order comes to power. Now watch it, because Assyria became Muslim, for they were part of northern Iraq. Egypt, Muslim. And then Persia changed its name to Iran in 1935, Muslim. And so you see, here is a Muslim formation, and Ahmadinejad of Iran is boasting about it, and he's right, because that was that left leg. The right one was the European Union, which started in 1948 as Benelux and became 10 by 1981. And I always thought that this was a 10-nation group. Wrong. When I studied Rabbi Hegion of 2,000 years ago, and then Jerome, who wrote the great Latin Vulgate, both said there will be a 10-division world empire. And a man just drew up a chart for me because he heard a program a few months ago when I said this, and he has every nation on earth listed under the 10 different headings. The only nation omitted is Israel because the Muslims don't even count them as a nation at this hour. So you have the two legs, and one is the Eastern and one is the Western, and it's all come together. In fact, the Club of Rome, pushing for the New World Order, has created this 10 world division. And it's right intact. It's all formed. It's on the drawing board. They're waiting for the final move to come. But that is the one world religion, and that's the 10 mentioned in Daniel 7, verses 7, 8, 20, 24, Revelation 12, 3, 13, 1, and 17, verses 3, 7, 12, and 16.
Ooh, and I think that you see why there had to be two different areas of the world, the East, the West, coming together for world government. Because there are two legs on that image. They come together for world government. Now, I've referred before to something, and that is the development of a world religion. When you see this world government coming to pass, you'll also see a world religion. Well, I never imagined that we'd see two leaders like Tony Blair. Of course, we all know who he was. And of course, our ex-president Bill Clinton. And look what they're doing, a global religion, the drive to convince the world's religious leaders that all are teaching the same core principles advanced by leaps and bounds in 2010. Tony Blair's Faith and Globalization course, which began at Yale University, spread to other prestigious colleges around the world. Blair and former President Bill Clinton joined forces to educate the world's students in interfaithism. Do you see that? Interfaithism, by launching a program for grade schools and high schools called Face to Faith. Remember that word, Face to Faith. Going on. Bible prophecy. Now, of course, Jack in our magazine wrote an article and foretold how the modern church could destroy Christianity. A different kind of dialogue, an increasing number of prelates are expressing forthright concerns about Islam now. That doesn't mean that the priests are going to listen. Let's go on. From this, the Charlotte Observer, Mass and Quran don't mix, but this priest says, I'm going to do it. I don't care what the Pope says. I'm going to do it in September. Somebody that wants to do it right now and has done it, Robert H. Schuller. Now, that is the father of the Crystal Cathedral, the founder out there. And here you see, no stranger, Rick Warren appeared at the annual convention of Islamic Society of North America. It says he keeps faith at Islamic conference. Well, we're going to go on and see exactly what that means. Here's Joseph Farah of WorldNet Daily. And we do thank him so very, very much for what he has to say. Let's go on here with Rick Warren does it again. Maybe you'd like to read this, Jack.
While millions of other Americans will be celebrating Independence Day, that's July the 4th weekend, Rick Warren, often called America's pastor, will be serving as the keynote speaker for a Saudi-backed Muslim group that promotes a radical strain of Wahhabi Islam in about 80% of the U.S. mosques, and the Wahhabites are the deadliest of all. I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired of Rick Warren's bad judgments, Farah says. This time, Warren will be smoozing with the Islamic Society of North America, an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, the deadly group of Islamic terrorists in Egypt, just as are Al-Qaeda, Hamas, and most other Muslim terrorist organizations. So what is Rick Warren doing? Speaking at the group's national conference, Joseph Farah in another article said, I believe he's a shill, and they're using him.
All right.